Hi, everybody. Joe Cioffi here. Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes. Brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. They've got salt, they've got sand, they've got mulch. They are Long Island's largest rock salt source, and they are your source for everything you need this winter when it comes to winter weather. And they've got plenty in stock since there hasn't been that much in the way of winter weather other than rainstorms in the Northeast. And we've got two more. 631-756-1125. The best prices anywhere. OmniTrueValue.com is the website. We have some leftover winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings up in New England, mainly in Maine and in New Hampshire with the winter storm warnings. Advisories still sinking down into parts of northern Massachusetts and also in southwestern New York where there's a little bit of lake effect going on. Otherwise, it's fairly quiet from the standpoint of watches and warnings throughout much of the eastern half of the U.S. You start to get into areas in the Central Plains. We have winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings up in Kansas and into southeastern Colorado, northern New Mexico, and northeastern Arizona. Also, a few advisories and some high wind warnings up in parts of northern Montana, and a few scattering of advisories in parts of the West Coast. Most of the weather in the West is on the quiet side. And as we take a look at the satellite loop, still a lot of leftover clouds that we're still dealing with. The storm system from last night has moved away south and east of Nova Scotia, but the upper trough is still trying to work its way through, and that's why we have all this leftover precipitation in New England. We also are seeing the energy back in the Rockies that's moving eastward. It's going to couple with Gulf moisture that's starting to blossom out in Texas and Louisiana, and that's going to make for the next storm system that will be moving up the eastern seaboard on Sunday. Here's the latest look at the radar, and you could see the leftover snows in Maine down into Massachusetts and in and around the Boston area. Also, we're seeing some precipitation and some a little bit of lake effect in parts of upstate New York and back over into northeastern Ohio. Most of this is on the light side, and it should gradually diminish as we move into the night. Starting to see some showers developing across East Texas and Louisiana and Mississippi as that next storm system starts to get ready, and you see the snows in Colorado and New Mexico that are moving eastward, part of that area of winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories in the Central Plains. A lot of wet weather coming with two storm systems on the horizon in the next 5 days. We have an inch and a half to 2 inches plus forecast from Maine down through Georgia, and areas of 2 to 3 inches possible in Georgia, South Carolina, back down to the Florida Panhandle and parts of Louisiana. Also, a half to three-quarters of an inch in eastern Colorado and western Kansas. So that's going to be snow. And we've got some precip up in the Pacific Northwest and up into the northern Rockies. Nothing really exceptional, though. And still dry in California after weeks of rain. Probability for at least 2 inches. We'll give this a refresh and get the updated forecast from the Weather Prediction Center. This carries us through tonight and into Monday morning. Now, some of this in New England is some of this is reflecting what's still going on in parts of Maine and New Hampshire and Massachusetts, but most of that is maybe an additional coating to an inch, but guaranteed at least another 2 inches from the next weather system from northern Pennsylvania across the Catskills, up the Hudson Valley, the middle and upper Hudson Valley, and into Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. And if we put up the probability of, let's do at least 8, and you'll see that ski country does pretty well. Northeastern New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, all areas showing 50% or more probability for at least 8. We also have a 50% or higher probability for at least 8 in western Kansas and much of southeastern Colorado, and just touching into parts of northeastern New Mexico. In the long range for Wednesday, we have the dark green is a 50% or 30 to 50% chance of at least 3 inches. Let's call it 3 inches of snow for areas up the northern Appalachians through Pennsylvania, through New York State. You see light blue in upstate New York, southwestern New York, and in Vermont. Those areas are 50 to 70%, and I suspect that we'll probably see those numbers go up as we get a little closer. So, our first storm system's gone. The leftover precip winds down tonight. Skies should partially clear out, and we'll have a nice day on Saturday in the east with that high sitting over West Virginia tomorrow morning and then off the North Carolina coast tomorrow afternoon. So, right there, that tells you that it's going to be a problem if you're looking for frozen precipitation at the coast. The next low gets going. You see it there early Sunday morning, sitting near New Orleans with rain in the Carolinas and some heavy rains in Georgia, Mississippi, and Alabama. Little snow breaking out in parts of southern Illinois and Indiana. Not much, though. And then that storm, which is the only feature on the map at this point on Sunday, starts to spread rain later Sunday afternoon into Sunday night up the coast. It's quite possible it could briefly start off as some sleet or snow in northwest New Jersey and in areas in the Hudson Valley north of 84. And of course, we'll see some snow in central and northern Pennsylvania and through upstate New York and New England. That low is going to bring some heavy rains Sunday night into Monday morning. Then that moves out, turns a little colder and drier behind it. Monday and Tuesday look dry. Then as we take a look at the next storm, this one comes out of Texas and runs up well to our west. You see it there in southern Indiana. It is possible that we could see it start off as some snow or sleet, even in coastal areas on Wednesday before it goes to rain. Better chance in Pennsylvania that it starts off as snow for at least a few hours, southern New York. And then you see the low in southern Indiana, goes up into northeastern Ohio, then jumps to New York City, just redevelops right on the coast by early Thursday morning. That precipitation shifts up into New England, and you get a wrapped up low sitting near Portland, Maine, come later Thursday. Now, it will get, uh, I don't want to use the word significant. It might be significant compared to where we've been for late next week. And we do have an Arctic front that'll be coming down with a fairly strong shot of colder air for next weekend. So the pattern's changed. It's not that Pacific fire hose anymore. We are starting to get air. We will start getting air masses getting delivered from Canada, but whether that means winter storms are on the horizon as we move into the month of February, that of course remains to be seen. Weather in 5 is brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, 631-756-1125, the phone number, and the website omnitruevalue.com. So we don't have a Joe and Joe weather show tonight, nor will we have one tomorrow, but we'll be back Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time to go through the first of 2 storm systems, and we'll have more on the second and more on the long range. So have a great night and a great weekend.